guys, what's up? So we are back with not really a video, but kind of like an interview thing. We are here with our good friend Les Dobyns. He is gonna be we're gonna be talking about some interesting stuff today, kind of things that's happened to him, and so. But yeah, we're back. So to get started, explain how you got involved in like ghost hunting and things like that.
Going back to 1999, I had just moved to South Carolina with my ex-wife. I was in an apartment, and it was about 11:30 at night, and I'm watching Saturday Night Live. Lights on, just in a room like this, and on my coffee table right in front of me, in midair, water formed in midair and just poured on my table. And I literally thought that somebody was playing a joke on me. I thought maybe that somebody had somehow did a squirt gun, or I drilled a hole in my wall. I tried logically to think this out all over the place. Could not figure out where it came from, what had happened. Went and dragged my ex-wife out of bed by her leg, like coming down the hall. She goes in the room, and I pointed at it, she goes, "It's water, you spilled water." And I was like, "No, it just formed up," and it did. It literally was about this high off the coffee table, just appeared out of midair, right in my line of sight with the TV, and just poured down on the table.
Wow.
So it really kind of just freaked me out, because prior to that, I guess I believed in ghosts, but not really. It was just kind of one of those, like, I want to believe in ghosts, but I never had that experience. So I went to the apartment manager that Monday because it bothered me. I obsessed over it. Like, how this happened? Who's tricking me? So I went and talked to the apartment manager, and the person that I spoke with, she got really funny with me when I said it, and she goes, "Well, give me a second." I was like, "Why is she coming? What's going on?" She brings the apartment manager out, and come to find out, the guy who lived in that apartment had died in the pool prior to us living there. So that's when I was like, okay, I believe in ghosts now, because that was my experience. Then there was my other experience, which was later that year, I was back in Ohio in Wilmington College. And Wilmington College has a place called the Infirmary, which during the days of the Great Depression, they used to hold people there who had tuberculosis and were also sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so this place had a history of people, not positive things. So they turned it into a dorm, and I was at the college at that time, and I was working, and we were up in the second floor of the infirmary there, and all of a sudden, all the doors slammed shut in the entire place, like 12 doors in this hall. And I was like, what? So I was thinking, like, the air, trying to logically think it out. You're always trying to logically come up with, this could be this. You try to rule out that stuff. That's the first thing. So I did that, and it was just kind of weird. I felt a weird sense like people were watching me. I felt like a lot of eyes were on me. Mm-hmm. So this was one thing. It was like multiple things, and it was heavy. The air was real heavy. And so I went into this room, was doing my job, and I was like measuring up this window, and all of a sudden the door behind me shut, and then boom, 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 boom. So I went automatically and opened it up. There was nobody there. And I was the only person in that building at the time. So that was my other experience.
Wow.
Going into that. And then I've had a couple experiences at my old house in Wilmington, which was a home built in 1892 that had a history. I'm not sure if it was the maid or whatever or something, but every night my back staircase had two staircases. One in the front that was the main staircase, and then a maid quarter staircase that came out of the kitchen. So every night I'd hear up my steps, and little things would get weird, like things would get folded that wasn't folded before. So I had some, it wasn't a negative thing. It was like I don't know. It was like a positive thing on that one. And it never gave me the creeps or anything like that. So ever since then, I started like being not obsessed, but a little hobby on the side. With ghost hunting and trying to find answers. And and I've come across a few things that have given me some sort of, not answer, but more evidence that we're not alone, and there's something behind just us as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now I know you and I have talked about the Mansfield Reformatory.
Yes.
When we were actually planning to go there here over our spring break, And sadly, some of us aren't 18 years old, so we can't go.
Yeah.
But I know you and I had talked the other day that we were with a friend, correct?
Yes. We did that trip, I want to say, it was over 10 years ago when we did that trip up there and stuff. The hole, it's a dark, I think when you're getting to a place like a prison, you're dealing with a lot of energy, you know, energies that kind of stay and resonate. And when there's a lot of negativity and sorrow, that energy tends to stay and manifest. And those dark things that like that stuff, that thrive on it, tend to hold it and not let it go. And that was a place that we went to. We heard voices, and then we went down to the hole, and he went down to the hole, and that's when the marks, he got touched or whatever. And
What's the hole?
it's where they put you in solitary confinement, and it was pitch black. And like, you're pitch black, and you're down there for 2 weeks. No contact, human contact. Tend to go insane. It's torture. To
So
a
do you
human.
think it's like a spirit that latched onto you?
I don't think I've had spirits latch onto me. I can go into that a little deeper, just by going to certain places. I don't want to give out some of the places I've been because it's not been completely legal to be there. It's more, I'm not going to destroy property or anything like that, but urban exploration with the thought of finding ghosts is what it is. But, you know, some of the places that we've gone to have been private properties where families don't want their information out. Other places I've been where I've had families reach out and, like I said, like contact and stuff. And it's weird. You can always tell when you're going into something that's the difference between ghost and difference between spirit. Like I said, ghost usually dealing with like a residual thing where you'll see the motion going through. Gettysburg has plenty of videos of Gettysburg ghosts that you can find and see where there's soldiers just kind of going through the motions. They don't see you. It's just that energy of their daily life, you know, and what they did. Then you can go into other things where it's intelligent. That's when you're messing with stuff that if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to put yourself in a bad situation. So in any of those ghost hunting societies will tell you the same thing. You got to know what you're doing when it comes to that stuff, and you got to also make sure that you're telling whatever you're dealing with that it needs to stay and not latch onto you, because it can. So I'm a firm believer. There was a, what's his name, from Ghost Adventures, Scott Baggins,
Zach Baggins.
Zach, thank you, sorry. He had that Demon House movie, which I thought was really interesting. I don't know if you saw it or not, where he said the movie's cursed. And I believe that stuff is to a certain degree, because if you're acknowledging it, especially when you're dealing with spirits, and I don't know if you're religious or not, I tell you, if you go ghost hunt, you have to be religious in some way. You can't just sit there and ignore stuff.
Yes.
Because, you know, there are things that are beyond our explanation that our science can't explain, plus physics maybe. But where I'm getting at with this is some of the danger that you go into, you can feel it, and it's the negative energy, and it changes moods. I was on a ghost hunt 2 years ago at a cemetery, and I'm not going to say the name of the cemetery because we had to walk a mile through the woods to get to the cemetery and risk getting shot by the people who own the cemetery. But when we got there, one part of the cemetery where it had all this history, everything was dead. Everything. Trees, flowers, nothing grew there. And the other part had life and stuff, and this was in the middle of spring, but nothing was growing there. And it was weird. It was eerie. It was sound like it was just weird. It was so different. And we were there, and I was taking some EVPs, and that's the one I showed you.
Yeah.
Where it had the horse and buggy. You could hear it plain as day. But on the regular EVP, there was nothing. But when I caught all this stuff on the EVP, it's just you hear a horse neighing and a carriage riding up. So, and this was, like I said, there was nothing there in the middle of the night. And something latched onto her, and her back, I mean, it was nasty. It was 3 claw marks down the thing. And when she got home later that day, all her dresser drawers were opened up, her cabinets were opened up. She was really upset. Had to call a priest in, actually, because she swore whatever we picked up at the cemetery had followed her and stayed with her. And then she, to this day, doesn't ghost hunt anymore because it burned her. Like, and then
Does she still have the marks on her?
I don't know. She won't talk to me. Yeah, it's just, she's done. She's done. So, and that can happen. I was one fortunate one. So, and it tends to latch on to people who are more, I wouldn't say weak, but susceptible to that, or don't know, or fear. They thrive on fear, I should say. At least in my experiences, the spirits, the things that you're dealing with that are demonic, thrive on your fear. And if you're not strong in your faith, then you're not able to, then you're setting yourself up. And even if you're strong in your faith, if you come across to something that's like a level 9 demon, and that's one of the things I gave you was a field guide to demonology, you're still messing with something that you can't defeat.
Yeah.
I mean, priests have lost their lives to things like this in history.
Crap.
So, yeah, you just got to know what you're dealing with.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can read throughout history. I mean, this will tell you, it's not to play with. I mean, it's a cool thing to do is ghost hunt. And what you're trying to do when you ghost hunt or spirit hunt is find information and just find facts and try to help people get some resolution to it. But I think if you're out there to stir it up, and that's where I question ghost adventure people, they're willing to agitate and stir, and he's also willing to allow himself to be possessed.
Yeah.
That you're playing with some dangerous stuff. To the
Okay.
fact that he screwed his eyes up on the one. His eyes will never be the same, but you're messing with stuff that sometimes, but those guys are professional. And I understand they also have access to a great amount of resources that keep that, but that Demon House movie is a perfect example of what not to do and when you're pushing too far. I mean, you had a guy that had total internal organs shut down because he was messing with a demon. So
even if it's like going to Crybaby Bridge, it's
Well,
still a risk.
yeah, the Crybaby Bridge, and I've talked about this, and in my English class that I teach at Kenton Ridge, I teach a mythology and urban legend class. I go for 6 weeks, through the month of September and in October, because it's just the cool time of year.
Mm-hmm.
The original Crybaby Bridge is in Iowa. There's a Crybaby Bridge in every state.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted though, Pitchin has a long history of Satanism and cult worship throughout history. You can look that up. You can talk to sheriff's deputies in the past that have been worked around here for a while. So I think with the Crybaby Bridge and that whole area, that used to be a place where they used to do worship.
Yeah.
So it was big in the 80s around here, Satanism and all the other stuff. I know, that a lot of myth and legend and stuff,
Yeah.
but there was a big movement in the 80s where people just got into it and didn't know what they're doing. I mean, you can go to some of these houses that are empty and you'll see a pentagram drawn on the ground, candles, then you'll see the symbols, different things of that nature and stuff. So,
Okay, I have a question.
yes.
So we apologize before we leave and stuff. Does that mean anything, or does it just do
I wouldn't apologize, I'd command it. I would be like, do not have permission to come with me. You are not invited. But you can also go there and let it know you're not there to harm. You're there for facts and stuff. But usually if you're dealing with things like that, and ghosts don't usually interact with you. Okay? Demons will. But demons and spirits can take on the form of a human or take on human voices and manipulate. So you got to be careful with that. And again, some people won't believe what I'm saying. Some people will. It just depends on your faith and your experience and stuff, and then my research and things that I have read that validate that. So, but again, not the end all be all. There are plenty of people who do this for a hobby that are great at it and can do this for a professional living. So, I just like to do it on the side because, like I said, I'm always searching for answers.
Yeah.
So, like you said about the demons that can take human form and everything, have you ever came into contact with something like that?
Yes.
I think we ran into one. Steve, we were there, not recording yet. We didn't really want to get into it. We just went there to Crybaby Bridge for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was leaving. It was me, Joey, Michael, and Taylor. This guy in the truck pulled up as everybody was leaving.
What did I tell you about the truck? What did I say the other day about what happens in pitching?
Oh, I just got chills.
Wait,
I just got chills.
Okay, well, what happens, and this happened back when I was in school, trucks would follow you. People run you out of the area. The lights would come on. They'd come flying up on behind you. annoy, scare you, and that's because you're running into their area where the cult worship is taking place.
And
So
that's
the people that would
that's
chase you out.
Yeah. There's another place around the area. I don't want to say where it is. I told you about it the other day, kind of, but I don't want to put that out there on YouTube because I'm not trying to ruin their neighbors or have people come through. But there's a couple places around this area where if you're going at night and you're not welcome, they'll chase you out. And that's one of the things. So you got to be kind of careful with that.
That's
Yeah,
crazy
it's
you say
super
that
friendly,
though,
too.
because I didn't process that when you told me, and now that you mentioned that, that's crazy.
Tell them what Steve
No,
said.
like, he said he was texting his girlfriend and everything. Like,
His girlfriend.
yeah. He was 20-year-old, had like a 6-pack of beer and everything, had an
And he was
AK
driving.
behind his back. This is what he told us. He drove away, about 2 minutes later, he drove back and started talking to us again.
And he said in his words, he can't wait for the day to come down through the bridge and see that there's someone hanging from a tree.
Yeah.
And I told them, but while we were there, I could not look him in the eyes because I staring at him, Michael, right now. I would literally look at him and then look away. There was something about his presence that I did not feel safe about.
He had a AK-47.
He had
said he had
an
an
AK-47 in his truck.
Like, he
It's
I
an
don't-
illegal weapon
Exactly.
to own. so-
Well, and you say that
Tell them
too
about
about
the words.
about cults and stuff.
Yeah.
Where we were, okay, when you go down the road, the bridge is here, and then right up the road is a KKK house or
Oh
what?
yeah, there was this red barn and it was huge. Back in the cornfield, there would always be KKK members having meetings and everything.
Yeah, that was a big around this area at that point.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What-
It's kind of phased out, but trust me, remnants still exist.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always.
He told them about 2 white swans. Yeah, and then they left, and then we went back. I think it was
It was like after school.
It was after
Yeah.
school
Yeah.
day, and we went and we saw the white swans. They were in the pond, and he was telling them about a lake that was nearby in a house. And the water in the lake was always clear, and the water was clear, and
And
there
the
were
house
white
was
swans.
abandoned
And it was almost like he was trying to lure us to go to that.
to go there, you
It's
know.
like some
And I don't
thousand corpses type stuff.
Yeah.
man.
I don't
Well, and what I was so weirded out about is we got there, everything was fine, no one was worried,
Yeah.
everybody was just cool. I mean, we were in a big group, but after everyone left, he said, it was him, myself, Michael, and Taylor, and he kept looking at us, and he goes, and he said something about 4 people.
Oh yeah, he was
And there was
um,
4 of us left there.
Well,
He
he
was
said-
waiting
he
for
said
someone
4
to
high
get
schoolers.
4 high schoolers and kidnap them.
He said
Yeah, it's best to not go visit this guy again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know
we
if
didn't
this-
visit him.
He also had a speech impediment. I don't know if that means
Yeah, he said he has.
speech impediments can give up, but it was just kind of funny when he was talking.
He said he had a speech impediment. I heard it a little bit, but it could have been fake.
Why would he say that?
I don't know.
He's
He just told
Well,
us
he
he was
was
like,
sitting there
well, I
talking,
have
he's
a
like, oh
he
yeah,
was
by the way, I
telling
have
us,
a speech impediment.
and he was talking about his
Okay.
Yeah,
past
right.
experiences there. I know there was one story he told us that he went there one time and there was a guy there that was smoking pot, and he said, "Oh yeah, I used to hang out with you down here when we get chased and stuff." And then he just would change the subject.
Yeah,
he would tell a short story, change the subject, and then he would talk about and then after every sentence, he kept bringing up, "Yeah, my girl's waiting for me up at the house, but I'm not going back."
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he went, and
But
then came back.
I told them, as soon as we got in the car, I said, I'm not going first. I said, because if I go first, he's going to follow us. So I got in the car, started my car, and he just slowly went past.
Super slow,
Yeah.
Well, and I understand if you don't believe in it, stuff not believe in it, but if you don't let it lure you in, it won't nothing will tend to happen. He told us stories and we started believing it and
Kind of leading
it
you.
felt like stuff
Mhm.
started.
So that's where it could. It plants that seed in your mind and stuff, but you need to be careful of certain things like that because you said you could be dealing with cult members who are trying to lure you in, and that's the last time we ever hear from you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, got to be careful. Got to be careful
Yeah,
with
he was
that.
very, very scary.
You were talking about demon and spirit.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm I shouldn't say big into, and I do use this, and I use this on my own purpose, is a Ouija board. But you gotta be, I don't recommend it.
My aunt does stuff like
Yeah,
that all the time.
I don't recommend it to anybody who doesn't know what they're doing, so. It is a gateway, and I think it's Parker Brothers that created the board for Ouija board, which is interesting because it's Parker Brothers, their location to where all this is Salem.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, give you a little background on that stuff, so.
Did you think the witch things were true? Like
Witches have always existed. I know witches. I know witches right now. They're not what you would think. They're called green witches. There are black witches, and I don't mean that in like a connotation for race or anything like that. I'm talking about green witches meaning Wiccan, very earthy, very in touch with nature.
That's my aunt.
Yeah, I don't see no problem with that. They're here. They're put on this earth to guard the earth. I'm a firm believer in that. I know that sounds weird coming from somebody who goes to church and different things like that, but it's true. And their skill is, they do have a skill that does protect the earth and themselves. But then there's black witches, which is a little more dark, which is willing to do a little more things that are against, I should say, I don't want to say, well, if you believe with God, it's kind of anti, what they're trying to do, the dark magic and different things.
So
Great store in Yellow Springs.
Really?
Ravenwood. Great witch store. Great. It's honestly one of the very intelligent people there. Get crystals, get different things that you want there. So, not hyping the store or anything like that. But I'm just letting you know that it does exist. And Yellow Springs has a massively huge Wiccan population.
Now, there is I can't think of it, but it's in Yellow Springs. It's the John Bryan State Park.
You might want to check that out in my book there.
really?
Yeah. Did you feel anything? Anything hurt? Anything move?
No,
You had
I was
since then?
really stiff on my back and my arms were on my side, and it just like tilted its head, and like I lift the covers over my head because I didn't know what to do.
I remember as a kid, I was like maybe 7 years old, and I lived way out in the country, D.G. Jordan Road, which is Northwestern School District. I went to Northwestern K through 4th. And I remember waking up one night, and it was weird. It was kind of like you situation. And I looked over, and there was something about this tall that was standing in my doorway. It looked like a freaking troll.
Really?
It was the weirdest thing in my life, and I thought, no, I closed. So I kept staring at it, and it wasn't moving, and it was looking at me. So I closed my eyes. I remember closing my eyes and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, pulled it back down, and it wasn't there anymore. But I thought, in my head, I'm a little kid, I'm playing tricks on myself. And then when I got older, I'm a firm believer that what I saw was something that was just there. It wasn't there to hurt me or whatever, but it was just, it was there.
Yeah, from like
And that's so weird because you it allowed itself for you guys to see it.
I think it does with kids. I think it's always there if you're a kid.
Like, I know that I'm like still only 15, but I still see things from I lived in this old house. It was like really old farmhouse, and I would see stuff like at the corner of a doorway, like go back from behind the corner or something, or I'd see an old man smoking a pipe in our garage, sitting in the chair that we had in there because we didn't use it. Or I would hear like footsteps at night, and like when I was younger, my aunt
You're
told
just psychic residue. You're seeing what was there or what was in the past.
Mhm.
So, what sometimes with this goes back to that whole Sixth Sense. Have you ever seen that movie about the kid who saw dead people
Oh,
because
yeah.
he could see dead people? So they would come to him, like, they were trying to pass information on and stuff because they're attracted to the fact that you can see them. So, I mean, it just depends though. I mean, I'm still torn on being able to have, I should say, I don't know, what's the word here, communicate with intelligently with a ghost. I'm just not sure if it's possible. I know through psychic, that a psychic can maybe pull information and stuff, and that communication can happen through them, but I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people I'm torn between what a guardian angel is and what, I just don't know. I guess that's part of the answers I'm always looking for too. So is my grandma with me right now,
Yeah.
I don't know. don't know. I've never had that experience quite like that, or like what you've had and
Yeah.
stuff. Do you see auras?
I see like a lot of stuff, like a bunch of different things. Like I'll see black figures, or I'll see like shapes, or I'll see like different things just move throughout the.
Let me ask you this: Have you remember those old pictures that used to be like weird looking colors and different things, and you had to stare at it, and then all of a sudden you'd
like
see
the white, like the
you would
white.
see the picture come out like a 3D picture of a boat,
Yeah.
like those old. Can you look at people like that? You know what I'm talking about? Look through people and see auras. You'll start to see energies, colors,
Yeah, like
color
colors,
auras.
auras and stuff like that.
Mine's white.
Yeah, because the way you can do that, well, you can change it by how you feel. But how you do that is like looking at the person and looking through. But not everybody can do it. But what you're telling me would make me think that you would have the ability to do that. So that's something you might want to try.
Yeah.
So
Like I'd have.
do you go to church at all? Or?
No, I'm
Okay.
atheist.
Okay. Well, I don't think you can be atheist and be.
Well, I mean, I don't-
You're just. I got you. You're not.
like I believe something's up there. I just don't really
Yeah.
know what it is.
I was like,
you know?
you can't be an atheist
Yeah.
and be a ghost hunter. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Uh,
Because
does,
ghosts are gonna go. Yeah, right. What am I?
does
Well.
sleep paralysis like tell you anything?
Oh,
I have had that happen. It is the scariest freaky
Oh, it
thing
is,
that's ever
really
happened
is.
in my
Twice.
life. You've had it twice. I had it once, and it was in college. And I remember I was in my buddy's room in dorm, and I was really tired because it was a fun night the night before. And I'm laying on the couch, and I felt like I was sinking into his couch. And then all of a sudden, I'm looking down at my body, and I'm like starting to float upward. And I freaked out in the thing, and I fought hard to fall back into my body. And then my buddy comes in the room, and I was like, dude, don't let me fall asleep. And he goes, what? He just looked like, you're nuts, just go to sleep. I'm like, no, I can't sleep. Sure enough, I'm out like 5 seconds later because I'm so tired. But it was the craziest experience of my life, and I wish I would have let myself go. I wish I could have astral planed, because it goes on like that insidious stuff. I firmly believe that stuff can happen. You know, yeah, sleep paralysis, and there's a movie called The Nightmare. It's a documentary about that, and it's terrifying because it shows like some of these people what they had when they were sleep paralysis, and these things that would come visit them, and they couldn't move, and they had to deal with it. Yeah.
What was
That's what mine
yours?
was, where I couldn't move at all. First time I like started freaking out, but the second time it happened, I knew what it was. So I just like sat there, and then it went away like quickly.
Yeah, once you learn to relax in that, and you have the ability to move those things, you know, you don't need your physical body.
Yeah.
You just need this spirit.
Yeah, the first time I was like trying to like move, and it just wasn't happening. And then like a minute or two later, I could move again.
Wow. And throughout the week, I kept smelling lavender in my room, like real, like perfumey lavender in my room. And I'm not one, I don't freak out and stuff, but it was just weird. So one night, the first night I was there, I was sleeping, and they have video cameras on you because it's a seizure monitoring unit. And I have these things on my head that are like, you'll see it in the video here in a second. Well, I'm sleeping in the middle of the night, my wedding ring gets pulled off my finger. And I freak out, and I'm like, I get up, the nurse comes in the room, she's like, are you okay? I go, no, my wedding ring's gone. Like, it just literally left. So she's like, oh, so she knew that was bothering me, so she helped me like strip the bed down. We threw everything in the corner. We're trying to find it, looking on the floor. We turn around, we look on top of the pillow, and the pile of stuff we throw, and it's perfectly laying on top of the pillow.
That's crazy.
Wasn't there a second ago,
Yeah.
but it was there. So that was the first, and I was like, it's just weird. So the second, no, like the third night, it was actually Halloween night. That's weird. But I'm sitting there watching King of the Hill on my computer, which is a comedy show, and my water bottle starts moving in and out.
Oh gosh.
And I have it. I showed him the thing, and I was like, this is freaking weird. So then little things started to move. So I was like, pulling my phone out. I had my phone. So I was just showing, and I was like, I started talking to it, saying, can you move this? Can you move that? And I'll show you.
Can we go and shut that window?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
All right.
So, yeah. I said that to Miss Blazer that night, and they were like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I was like, "This is my room. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't
Yeah.
even ask for a new room." So I just had to deal with it all night.
That's crazy.
So,
So, do you think that one followed you?
no, I think
It
it was
was
just
just
staying
there.
there. I think it was just, it took a shine to me. Because I literally felt like when I was sitting on my bed, the tension on my bed beside me went down. Like somebody just sat down beside me. And I felt like it wasn't a negative thing. I felt it was a positive thing. If not anything, it was just trying to calm me. So, yeah, it was one of the coolest videos I ever caught. But like I said, I didn't even think about it. I was like, wait a minute, I got my phone right here. Why am I not recording this?
That's crazy.
So, yeah, that's one of the cooler videos I've got. Besides that, and we had prom back in 2015. Myself and Miss Moore were in charge of prom, and the place we had it was the old State Theater downtown. It has a weird history, and the night that, or the day we were going to observe the place and see if we wanted this place, I walked in there and we were looking at it, and there's a lady that was giving us a tour around the place, and then on the stage where the old movie theater, where the old screen was, a guy walks out in a painter uniform, comes out like this, looks at me, turns back around. It's weird, I couldn't see his eyes. His eyes were like white. So he goes back behind the curtain, and I said, besides you and your maintenance guy, who else is here? She goes, there's no maintenance guy here. I took off in a dead sprint for the stage because I saw somebody. And so went behind the curtain, there's no doors, nothing. Nobody was there. And that was at the prom. And then that week we were setting up at the prom. Chairs were being moved around as we were setting. It was weird. It was a cool experience. And then during the prom, I took photos. I was taking selfies with students, and then that's when I got the infamous ghost photo in the middle of prom. I'll show you on my phone. It's a very weird picture. I showed Joey because I was like, I didn't want to point it out where it was.
I'm getting chills.
Now, kind of going back to what he said, if some of you don't know, I know this kind of like an off kind of topic thing, but we're still on the same subject. When he said that his friend was scratched, usually spirits, or if I'm telling this correct, spirits and ghosts or whatever is out there scratch in threes.
That's some of the theory behind it, or the theory that it's not fingers. You're dealing with something that has 3 fingers. It's just clawing down. But then there's the whole experience of threes. Why would you want to expand on why they do the threes?
Honestly, I don't really. What I've been told is that they use scratch in threes, and that's pretty much it. I've never really.
Why is 3 an important number when it comes to spiritual stuff?
What is it, the devil's hour? 3 o'clock?
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
The Trinity. Yes, it's mocking the Trinity.
Okay.
You'll hear the 3 knocks. 6. Let me tell you right now. 666 is not the sign of the devil. And you open up your Bible and go in there and tell me where it says 666 is the sign of the devil. It doesn't. It's all, threes. Things in threes. 330. Different things in that. The knocking 3 times, making the Trinity. The Conjuring movie is one of the best movies I have seen, where it's been one of the most accurate portrayals of supernatural. They do embellish, of course, because they're trying to sell a movie, but that whole premise that they do and stuff, and there's a lot of truth. Ed and Lorraine Warren they were my heroes in this field. They were heroes because they had no fear. They went to help people. They do, Ed's passed away. Lorraine, I think, is still alive to this day. But yeah.
And didn't they collect like artifacts?
Annabelle's with them to this day.
Mhm.
The real
Like the actual
the
doll?
real Annabelle doll is with them.
I actually watched a video a couple months ago where, and I don't know if they were telling the truth on the video, but the actual Annabelle doll that they have at their house.
This is a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they said, do not go near it, don't even touch it, or you will definitely need.
Yeah, I think
Like-
it's a high-level demon that has manifested itself in there, and he's contained it and trapped it. But still, I would not want to go through his haunted museum.
Yeah.
That's the same with Zach Bagans' museum in Las Vegas. I've heard horror stories from people who are like, it's awesome, but it's so creepy, and they've had weird things happen to them.
So all those artifacts are at their house?
Yeah, everything
So-
that they've collected and helped with.
Don't they have like a whole room just?
Yeah, they were the ones that the Enfield Poltergeist was one of the scariest stories I have ever come across, which is in England, which was Conjuring 2 was the movie was based off of. You got to look that up. There's some actual footage on YouTube of the actual girl getting thrown through the air. Yeah, dealing with some of the stuff they dealt with.
There was a movie, because remember you were talking about earlier, you said that the movie was cursed, or the set, or whatever.
The Demon Night movie, but
Yeah.
then you talk. There's a streaming service called Shudder. I love it. It's all horror movies because I love horror movies, and they're doing a series about cursed movies, Exorcist, Poltergeist, movies where they're playing around with, and it didn't like what they were doing. It was giving away information. Exorcist is well known for the things that took place on that set. I mean, you're dealing straight with, Satan himself, or one of his second high demons in command or whatever. So, in that book, you'll learn there's levels. They've got a hierarchy system like we do. But yeah, I'm trying to find this picture for you.
I have a good question to ask, and now I can't think of it.
All questions are good questions.
So, kind of going back to when we went to Crybaby, not really to throw Taylor under the bus here, but we went back a couple weeks ago after the whole thing with Steve and everything happened, and she just started acting weird, and we could show you the video too. It's kind of a long video, but you check us out, Kreepy Crew, subscribe.
like acting weird, how just not being yourself.
She didn't feel right. Her face got super pale. She wasn't feeling good. Well,
Taylor gets more scared.
If you're dealing with that, you're not dealing with ghost. I'll just tell you right now. I mean, what ghost has power to make you feel, besides maybe possess you? I mean.
Well, and what's crazy is she didn't remember. She only remembered like 30 minutes while we were there, and we were there for like an hour and a half.
But
So she wasn't. She was probably possessed or.
Well, we
after-
left, us four. It was me, Arnie, and Joey, and me.
and she wanted to stay in the car.
Taylor wanted to stay in the car. We were on the bridge, and then Arnie went to go take out the keys, and he was like, Taylor, and she wasn't responsive. She was just looking straight, and he shined a flashlight on her, and her eyes didn't even move. Her pupils didn't dilate.
There's another big giveaway right there.
Yeah.
If you're not dilating, she didn't take a hit to the head, so she didn't do any acid or anything of that nature.
No, I mean, we were together all day, and
Yeah.
all of us, we were just chilling, but on the way there, we were all positive and good moods. But as soon as we got to the bridge, she was the first one that didn't feel right.
Well, and as soon as we left the area, she
She's
started
separate,
acting
bro.
normal, and she was like, "What are you guys talking about? I wasn't doing that," but she was.
So you probably just somebody connected in with you or something used you. So that's dangerous. So it's best to be careful on that. You can bless them off too. I mean, you're big in your faith, and I would do that. I would command it in the Lord's name, because if your faith's in that, it truly will work, whether you believe in it or not. I mean, you do. So here's a picture. So I went around prom, taking selfies with the students that year because it was a fun prom. So take a look at this. It literally, and look, the hand's coming out over top of the frame. Well, here's the crazy thing. That was a blocked off old balcony. There's bricks behind it. There's no way to fit up in there. So I just happened to see, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That's crazy.
And it's like this.
And you can kind of see white dots in the face,
Yeah.
right around there. Ew.
So Yeah, I shared that with the people at the State Theater, and they do haunts there. They actually do they let people go there and they do tours, haunt tours there.
Have you heard of the
And hey, that's the end of the video. If you guys liked it, make sure you like and subscribe. Like in our last video, we said comments help, suggestions, and everything. So put your bell icon on, and we'll see you in our next video.